Welcome. If you're new around here, I'm a narrator that focuses on glitch in the matrix stories. Tonight I have two stories for you. One involving a false memory, possibly an alien abduction, and another involving time-traveling salmon. Very interesting one. Let's get into it. Story title: Mom and I have the same memory, and no idea where it came from. Author name: Throwaway17. My mom and I aren't very close. We pretty much live totally separate lives, except for living in a house together. One day, my car was at the mechanic's, so she drove me to work, and we were talking about whatever. One of the streetlights was broken, so it was flashing red, and for some reason, that made me remember being in a crowded room, sitting at a long table, when all of a sudden the lights went out in the room, and everyone started panicking. I said, "Weird." That made me remember being in a crowded room, and everyone started panicking because the lights went out. And my mom responds that she remembers the same thing, now that I mention it. But the thing is, we have no idea at all where we would have been. We don't really ever go anywhere together, and I can't even remember the last time I went to a big event like that. It was a long, feast-like table, and totally packed with people sitting and standing around, like a big celebratory dinner or something like that. And neither of us have any memory before or after, just this specific moment of the light shutting off, and everyone gasping and talking about it. I know it's nothing big, but it keeps me up at night sometimes. Where the hell were we? And why is that our only memory of it? Personal thoughts. To me, this sounds clearly like a suppressed memory. I have heard of memories being deliberately supplanted. Aliens, of course. But also we ourselves can suppress them subconsciously without even realizing that we did so, if the event was traumatic enough. In a sense, it's like our mind trying to protect itself, or the conscious layer, almost like the parent shielding the kid from too much trauma or the harsh reality of the world. But then it might even be a false memory suppression. That is to say, the table you remember might not be real, though I suspect the other people around it were, the other abduction victims. I can't say for certain, but I think that's what happened, because your mom also remembers it exactly the same way. Story title: Time-Traveling Salmon. Author name: DragonCat99. Okay, I know the title sounds like a terrible punchline, but hear me out. A while back I opened the fridge and saw a container of salmon. It was just a little bit of salmon, smashed into the corner of a huge container. I had looked in the fridge earlier and hadn't seen it, despite its size. I opened it and it smelled rancid, so I just threw it out. This was really weird for a few reasons. Our family rarely eats seafood, and whenever we do, it's a big deal. We'll get the fish fresh caught from somewhere fancy like Whole Foods, and have it for a sit-down dinner. That hadn't happened for a long time though. My brother might have gotten canned or frozen salmon to eat, but he wouldn't have put it away, and if Mom put it away, it wouldn't be in such an oversized container. Not to mention the fact that this salmon had clearly been in there a long time, despite only appearing that day. I mentioned all this to my mom, but she just shrugged it off. Fast forward a week or so. Mom goes into town and buys salmon for dinner. We eat it, but we have a ton of leftovers. Mom gets out her big container, the same one I had found the old salmon in. The container is just about the right size for this amount of leftovers. It sits in the fridge for a week, and we chip away at it until there's just a little left, smashed into the corner. I noticed the similarities building, and pointed out to my mom, and she just laughed and thought I was crazy. The salmon sits there several more days. It's in that state where no one's sure if it's good anymore, but they're scared to open it to smell it. and everyone's sick of salmon, but no one wants to throw it out in case it's still good and someone wants it. You know how that goes. One day, the salmon disappeared. I expected the container to be in the dirty dishes, but I couldn't find it. It hadn't been put away either. I asked my mom about it, and she says she didn't throw it out. Me and my mom are the only ones who would have thrown it out, and neither of us remembered doing so. The container's still missing. Personal thoughts. Yep, this would mess with my head. Actually, the most potent factor here to me is the container that's missing. Sure, you could say that was just history repeating, even though your family doesn't like seafood much, but who'd throw out the entire container? What a fun little glitch this was. But do let us know if you find the container. And that concludes tonight's glitch experiences. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like, and also if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. I always upload 3 videos a week.